All right, folks, you have been waiting for part two of Brandon's interview, or my interview with Brandon. And this is really an interesting thing. He shares a little bit about the fact that they work with individuals that are in incarceration in their shop. And he talks a little bit about how they invest in reentry and a role that I play with their organization. He talks about why would Zephyr hold a shop tour for their competitors. Sometimes people get a little bit nervous about why would I invite other people in the industry into my space, and he shares some of his perspective. He talks about some of the other initiatives that the KCNTMA is doing in 2025. I'm excited about that. And then you get to experience the speed round with Brandon and hear his response to the speed feed questions. So check out episode 5 of People in Production podcast. Seat at Zephyr. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey
Well,
that you went through?
I don't know. I guess I wasn't in the seat I'm in now. I think for the time, at the time, it was the right seat. So I was started out here as an estimator, and I was an estimator for I don't know, 5 years. But then, so in the nature of our business and our workforce, we currently, for those of you who don't know, well, we have 200 employees, but 100 of those employees are currently incarcerated with the state of Kansas. And so what I realized, and some of my colleagues, is a lot of these gentlemen had never had jobs before. So we need to develop an environment that will allow them to flourish. And so in addition to teaching them a trade, which is great, we need to teach them how to be at a job. We need to teach them not only how to be at a job, but we need to teach them how to be successful at a job. And then hopefully, eventually they will be released into society. So we need to teach them how to retain gainful and meaningful employment. And so we didn't have any of these reentry type programs and soft skills programs. And then Ryan, that's how you and I met. Is that we started developing and working with groups like InCircle in Johnson County Community College. So not only do we need to come up with a curriculum that will help our people, something as simple as being at your station on time, employee etiquette, or how to deal with a supervisor in a instruction, supervisor employee role as opposed to a authoritative figure victim role. We got to get out of that mindset and get into a workforce mindset, and then just teaching them, effective communication, teamwork. And there's a lot of things here that a lot of companies should be doing anyway. We just really realized it because we were having turnover right out of the gate, and we realized that a lot of it had to do with just business ethic, just entry level work skills, and so soft skills, communication skills. That frankly, when I share that with other customers that have all civilian workforce, they're like, well, we need that with our company. So I think it's kind of a universal thing. Just teaching people how to be at work and how to be successful at work, and whether they stay with you or not, they're going to take that on with them, and they'll be successful in their lives. And so my original, I took a position where I was personnel training and development, and that's where we developed a lot of these programs. And some of the additional programs that were needed also is for us specifically, that's specific to our story, is reentry programs. Like, how do we get these guys to be successful when they get out? So those would include, in addition, some of the stuff that you're involved in, where we're teaching guys how to build a resume, how to do mock interviews, how some simple finance things, like guys never had a checkbook, a credit card. I never got a loan before. So do's and don'ts on all these things. Now that they've been making money while they're incarcerated, we need to have a structure for them so that when they do reenter, then not only can they maintain gainful and meaningful employment, they have a technical skill that is marketable. And so that's another thing here at Zephyr. We try to stay ahead of the technology curve. So we're teaching our guys that's technology that's relevant, they can get a job in, but also how to maintain that gainful and meaningful employment, as well as certain life skills to help them be more successful when they go back into society and they're with their families, and they can be your neighbor and be a positive contributing member to society and break those generational curses and be able to, start over again. So.
Yep. And I think you're right. You stated that well, and you indicated that it wasn't necessarily that you were in the wrong seat, but you used your innovative spirit, you used your passion for investing in the workforce, and you created a solution. But then you realized there was a role that you could play even better within the organization, and
Yeah,
that's when you made the shift over to sales. Is that a fair way to
that's
summarize
a
it?
fair way. So I actually, previous to my life here at Zephyr, was in an outside sales role for many years in custom software that was focused on telecom. And so I came from an outside sales role, which was a job shop just in software, not metal. And so
Yep.
I did a lot of the same types of things here. So I had that previous background. And that is, though I love developing programs to help people be more successful, and I think it really had shifted the culture here at Zephyr, and we've seen a lot of growth just in our employee base, and we continue to. My jobs and the way and where I was groomed as far as the career goes is in the position I'm in now.
Yeah, I love it, man. So let's get back to this conversation about when you see a project that's not right for you. You talked about, hey, who do I refer this to? So, how do you build relationships with other companies that you might refer a job to because you know they're better suited for it than what you are?
That's a great segue into NTMA, or National Tooling and Machining Association, specifically of Kansas City. We got about 40 members of this chapter. A lot of them are in precision machining, but everybody has their little niche in that precision machining. Now, whether it's CNC mills, lathes, or some sort of making screws to, whatever their niche is, that we use precision machines, right? And so having that tool in your toolbox, you have a litany of these other companies that could be extensions to your shop, right? And so having that understanding of what those partners can do has been really advantageous for us. We unlike many of our fellow members in the NTMA group, they are serious machine shops. We have a very minimal machine shop to date. And so that's been a really big help for us. So parts that aren't necessarily good for us, like maybe one part of an overall assembly that's very intricate machine, having these partners in this group, NTMA, has been awesome for us, because these guys, that's what they do. And so we've been able to leverage and create a lot of synergies with some of those guys, so that we can get what we need. And then obviously in return, we are doing stuff that we're good at: laser form, weld, and powder coating for them, and so we have been able to not pass on so many things lately because of that, leveraging those relationships. But there still comes time where, like, there might be some stuff that's just maybe they want it a little bit more assembled than we do, like we're doing like electrical components and things like that. But more and more, the more that I dive into NTMA, there's guys in there that do that. So it's like, where I just came out of another meeting just now, and we were talking about that. We're like, well, we don't want to get into that, so we probably should start leveraging more of these relationships that we have, so we don't pass up on this stuff, because if it's lucrative for us, and it could also be lucrative for them too. And then kind of like the mission of what we're trying to do this year in NTMA is we're trying to bring more manufacturing back to the Kansas City area. And so having those types of conversations, understanding what you have in the toolbox at NTMA, is going to be really advantageous, I think, for all members that are a part of this group, and any groups like that, to be able to get more manufacturing back into our area, and just to create a larger business ecosystem all around.
You know, uh, in 2024, you all actually hosted a shop tour where you invited any NTMA member that wanted to come and have breakfast at your facility. There was a presentation. You guys talked about your organization and your philosophy of staffing and some of the success stories of people who have come through the program at Zephyr. And then you literally had your key leaders in the organization uh, give people tours of your facility. And someone might say, why the heck would you do that? You're actually letting your competitors into your facility. And why would you do that? Isn't that a threat to your business? Can you tell me a little bit about the mindset that someone who hosts an event like that has to have?
Yeah, that's another great question.
Good.
So I think a lot, unfortunately, that's a barrier that we need to overcome in our industry. Like, I think there's been a lot of like playing your cards really close to your chest, because you don't want, people to know who your customers are. Hey, we need to get real, man. We're all in the same area, and we all mostly are doing parts for the same customers. It's just a matter of which parts you're doing when, right? And so
Yep.
it comes down to the relationship. And so, like, if I feel and know and I have confidence in my team based on all the morale development that we've done, based on the stuff we just talked about, the positive projects we do that develop stronger relationships with our customers. So we got to lean on that, right? So like I'm not going to just deliver everything over to my competitor on a silver platter, but at the same time, man, they could learn something from us. They might see something that we do that they don't, that they have an opportunity for, that now they're like, okay, well, maybe we can be friendly competitors and we can work together on some projects, right? So that actually happened on two different opportunities that we did when we did the shop tour. So yes, we and I think every company has that, where you get some of this old school mentality that, okay, if we can't have our competitors come into our shop, they're going to steal our parts. I mean, in my mind, if somebody wanted to be that petty, then they want to do something like that, then fine. I'm confident enough in our relationships that it wasn't going to be a big deal. But it actually, I think it turns a lot more opportunities to create synergies. And having those open communications and allowing people to come into your shop, created more awareness to the folks that were kind enough to come to see what type of capabilities we had that will always ultimately nurture more business.
And Brandon, I'd also suggest that maybe there's a message to your team as a leader of an organization that says, I'm proud of who we are, and I want to showcase our people, our facilities, our resources to other people because there's some pride here. And I think organizationally, when you have the courage to open up a shop like that and you see 70, 80, 90, 100 people walking through the shop, the people on the floor take some pride on our leadership believes in us enough to showcase to other companies. And I actually think it raises the morale for the team as well.
I couldn't agree more, and especially since, to your point, we had some of our success, we have many success stories here, but we had some of the success stories, get up and give a little testimony on their experience with the program because they'd come through our program. I would say that anybody who works here that's a civilian could go work anywhere and make parts, but the majority, if not all of us, are here more here because of the program, right? We're not just making parts; we're making quality people, and so we are working with people that had a tough run because they may have made a decision someplace in their life that changed the whole trajectory of their lives. But most of the people that end up here that stay in the program are people that are truly trying to change. And so I think we want to contribute to that change. So we feel like we're doing community work here just as much. That guy or gal could end up being your neighbor someday. If we tool them up, give them the right education, the right opportunities, they're going to be successful when they get out. And so, we have a very high success rate with our program. We're very proud of that. And to your point, when we are showcasing those stories and those testimonies, and the other members on the floor see that, they're very proud. They're very proud that one of their own has made it, and they want that. They want that too, right? And so that creates that's contagious. And so, yeah, I couldn't agree more. It was just as much, if not more, an internal morale booster than the opportunities that came from that.
I love it. Hey, one more question about your role in NTMA. You've been on the board for NTMA. You're going to be on it again in 2025. A lot of people that I see at NTMA, they are the CEOs or the shop manager and stuff. It's kind of interesting to have a sales guy representing a company in NTMA.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I'm the only one. I think I'm the only one that's not an owner or president.
So tell me about that dynamic, because I think there's a cool aspect to recognize that it's not just the machinist and it's not just the shop supervisors and the owners that have a representation of the company. I love the fact that you're representing another side. Tell me a little bit about why a salesperson would want to invest in the NTMA experience.
Well, so first we'll get this. So from the selfish perspective, obviously I'm a sales guy, so I'm looking for more relationships, right?
Yep.
But I also, when my first experience with NTMA wasn't awesome. Like I went there and it's just a bunch of people standing around and talking, which is fine but there wasn't a whole lot of energy, I guess I could say. And so now there's some new people that aren't your typical folks that would be there. Has really created a really great energy in this group. And now you've seen it expand pretty substantially over the last year or two. That's just really put a spark in this group. And so I think, and then traditionally, which God love them, I love all the guys that were on the board before them, but they'd been there a long time. And so I think you bring new blood in, you get new ideas that create new energy. And I think even they saw that and they were like, well, okay, maybe we need to make some changes for the sake of the group so that the group can continue to flourish. And I think that we'll see even more of that in 2025 as we start to do some things that are way outside our comfort zone, like trying to have our own trade show and here in Kansas City and things like that, which I'm really looking forward to those opportunities, because that will spark a lot of new business opportunities. And the one thing that I have in common with all those owners and presidents is they're trying to expand their business, right? And so my job is to expand Zephyr's business. And so though I'm not in an executive role, I'm the only outside salesperson here, and that's exactly what I'm supposed to do, is to expand those things. And so that's in order to do my job and to provide value back to my company, while I'm with my time at MTMA. It's also going to benefit the MTMA group, because that's what I'm doing for my company, and that's what we're going to be doing for that group. So I think it's a win-win.
Yeah, so good, man. Love that and love your energy. I love the outlook that you have. I also know that there's going to be a combined event in April between KC NTMA and St. Louis NTMA, and that's going to be in the Kansas City metro area, tied to the BOTS KC event. And so it's super cool to see the energy and the fact that that KC NTMA isn't just trying to grow the network of people in Kansas City. We're reaching and building relationships with other areas, and it's going to create more opportunities for excellence in the industry. So
yeah, it's going every direction. We got not only just the NTMA initiatives, but we have a spinoff group with She Leads. Like, we have all these women that have seen this energy that we're doing here, and like, well, hey, let's get women that empower women in our industry, which we lack. We need more women in our industry. We do. It's just this.
And they want to show the excellence that women contribute to the industry, so that there's more diversity within the industry.
Absolutely, and we need that desperately in our industry. And so I'm so happy for that. And then you see this BOTS KC, where you're getting students to engineer these machines that fight each other. With that's entertainment too. And then we have we're going to have this internship program where folks can students that come in, and we're trying to create more awareness and more interest generated with the younger minds coming out of schools and such to come into our industry. But in addition to that, from another selfish perspective, I want that program for our guys. That's another opportunity for people coming out of being incarcerated to further their education and their career in a path that we need more people in. We need more people that are interested in manufacturing. And so there's so many facets that are happening in this that I think are going to continually to generate a bigger ecosystem of business here that we're really on the precipice of something really big.
Yeah. And KCNTMA is currently led by an executive director by the name of Catherine O'Toole. She is a go-getter. I did a podcast interview with Catherine a couple episodes ago. Check that out. And the energy that you see in Catherine on that podcast is how she shows up every day. And so I think that's part of the momentum of the organization, is that she is on fire to get things done, and it's showing up every session.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. She's a beast.
Awesome. Hey, so time for the speed feed questions. All right, you ready for this, man?
I hope so, man. I hope so.
All right, here's what we're going to do. Let's start with this. When it comes to those early morning meetings, or you're on the shop floor before hours and stuff, trying to see on a project before you call a customer, are you a coffee, energy drink guy, or some other caffeine kind of guy? How do you get your energy going in the morning?
Coffee and a workout.
Coffee and a workout. Oh, you combine it with the healthy stuff. Nicely done. All right. Let's ask you this. If you could go to a Chiefs football game with it doesn't even have to be a famous person. It could just be any person of your choosing. Who would you want to go with?
Did they have to be alive?
Nope, they don't have to. You can even go.
My hero is Jesus Christ, but if I could go with anybody alive, it'd be my daughter.
All right. I love it. I love it. It'd be interesting to go to especially a Chiefs football game with Jesus. That could be an experience, for sure. All right. Especially if it's Chiefs Raiders. Could you imagine how Jesus would react to that?
Also, but it'd be great.
All right. Hey, so let's ask this from a sales perspective. What's the greatest threat to the manufacturing industry, in your opinion?
The greatest threat is well, I guess that's a loaded question, but I mean, there's a lot of different facets to it. I guess one would be, we lack the ability to, or the want to do more, do better, and do it more efficiently. Obviously, material prices and things like that can play a factor, or whether companies are reshoring or offshoring. But I think it's just initiative, right? So, how are you going to differentiate yourself? How are you going to stand out amongst your competition, and then just getting out there and and sharing that and making more awareness to your brand?
Love it, man. I see you on a regular basis. You are definitely a leader. I have to ask you this: what's one tool you couldn't live without in your leadership role tool belt?
Buy-in,
Okay, which
buy-in, and accountability. But buy-in, communication, yeah, are key factors. But I think to be a leader, you have to be willing to roll your sleeves up and get down into the trenches. People respect and follow people they know can get a job done, not just being told what to do or that they read it somewhere. But if you know and not scared to get down there with them and get in there to the nitty gritty, man, people are loyal to that, and so
Yeah,
yeah.
that's awesome, dude. Love that. So, what's one, if you could master any skill instantly, what would it be?
Oh God. Um,
As a Chiefs fan, I thought you'd say field goal kicking, but that might be another conversation.
no, yeah, I mean, shoot, why not field goal kicking or yeah? I always, honestly, this is completely unrelated, but I wish I could master application programming.
Interesting. Love that. That is a fun one to hear you say. And then, last question, really. Uh, what's a question I should have asked you that I didn't ask you?
I don't know. And it's honestly, that's a good question. There's not one that I can think of that would have been amazing, other than you could have answered like, "What's the key?" or "What's the secret to life?" I don't know. I don't,
Well, so I think what you're saying is we picked your brain pretty thoroughly. Is
yeah,
that
pretty thoroughly.
all right, man? Hey, it has been such an honor to have this opportunity to sit with you and just engage at this level. Thanks for all you do for KCNTMA. Love your investment in the manufacturing community and just really grateful for you, Brandon.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate your time.
You bet, buddy. You take care.
All right, you too. Bye bye.
All right, that wraps up our interview with Brandon. He did such a great job. Love his insight and the unique perspective he brings to the conversation. Remember to subscribe to this podcast in whatever vehicle you're listening to it, and leave a comment below expressing to Brandon what you appreciated, some insights that he shared that you found meaningful. And also be sure to share this in your LinkedIn profile. Let other people know about the conversation that's going on here at the People in Production podcast. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to check out our next episode coming out next week.